Here goes, hey everyone. I've been working on this project for the last couple weeks for the CS50 final. I'm actually teaching it a little bit this year and going to teach this course next year to sophomores in high school. I've been coding for about 20 years for fun, maybe a little longer. I probably wanted to do this project for 14 years for this game that I really love to play, host maps, and I wanted to create a chatbot for a very long time. So I finally feel like I found the right questions to ask in order to figure out how to do what I wanted to do, and pretty much thanks to this course. So this is a really beta. There's probably about 180 lines of Python code that went into this, but what I've learned in terminals and VNCs and SSHing and just setting up my environment, it's definitely at least 90% of the time I've spent over the last 2 weeks. So here's sort of what I have. If I enter a game in one of those servers, right now, all we get is a little welcome from me to whomever enters there. I've tried to add a few more features. There's a command list feature that actually lists that, and help will say hello. And right now I'm stuck on multi-threading and stuff like that, but this is what I call my MVP, my minimal viable product, proof that I can do it. I can add some databases in now and do whatever I really would like to do in the server. So how does it work? It's kind of interesting. It's Visual Studio Code, which one of the greatest parts of CS50 is that the environments are pretty much set up for us. But what I actually have going on here is 2 remote machines. I have a Raspberry Pi sitting next to me on a monitor right next to me, and so you can actually see that this is the chatbot running, and this is the chatbot, and this is the game running. And I can actually disconnect from those screens, which is a part of the beauty of what's going on here. So I just disconnected from those, and you can see they're detached now, but they're still running. And so what I can actually do now, and I have that also running downstairs on an old 2009 iMac, another 2 rooms running, one on a Linux machine and one on a Mac machine, trying to port everything over to one Raspberry Pi 4. Go get one if you don't have one. Minecraft is next with my kids. So anyway, the really cool part is this. I can SSH into either machine. In fact, this one is going to give me access to my downstairs machine, where I can use some Linux commands here. Screen and then ls will actually list the screens that I have attached down there. So I have the same screen names downstairs, a Lux and a chatbot, and I can reattach to one of those and just come in and check out what's going on. And you can actually see right here, it just shows that I just left that room. So I actually didn't connect to my Raspberry Pi. I guess I connected downstairs to that server. And so I can use keyboard shortcuts. Control A D should have let me detach, and now I'm scared. Okay, it did work. And I can check and make sure, I can check and make sure that that screen's still running. So it is, the server should be good, and there's the chatbot. And so here's some really cool stuff. I do have Git running in the background, which is a crazy thing, branching and all that stuff. It's beautiful. All this just to get a little hello world in my favorite game. But the depths of the internet, it's really cool just seeing what you can do. But what's really cool here is Command-Shift-P. I can SSH to a host, and this is my Raspberry Pi, for instance. And so just open up a new Visual Studio Code. And on my Raspberry Pi, I have a virtual environment with Python, which the course I don't think really talked about, but with Python, I guess you're supposed to do a virtual environment where you actually have your own Python installation with packages for that project to keep things safe. So, all right, bear with me for 1 second. If I go and find my projects folder, I see I have chatbot in here, and I can change directories in there. And when I pulled it, I always get confused, and it's nested into another chatbot. So and so in here I have a bunch of stuff, and what I'm actually going to do real quick is I'm going to do something called activate my virtual environment. So you can see 2 folders in here. I believe env is what I'm using. You can tell I have no idea what I'm doing. When I thought I did, it wasn't what I thought. So in bin, I can call this activate. All right. And actually, I shouldn't have done that yet, because what I really wanted to do is do screen-r chatbot and go check in on our chatbot quick. And so here's our chatbot running on this machine. And what I'd like to do, though, is show you the code that is running that. So let's see if I can do that. If I do code chatbot, and this is why Visual Studio Code is so cool, what I've just done is I've now opened up the chatbot.py file that is sitting on my Raspberry Pi. All right, I can check, oops. I can come down here and check git status, or actually let's do git branch. All right, and I'm sitting in threads, so that's not even the branch I thought I was in. I was hoping I was in, oh, so sorry, on my iMac downstairs, I can show you I'm on a branch called iMac 2009 or 2009 iMac, because there's slight differences for these. So right here I'm working on threads, apparently. And so here's the actual code, because I can talk about this stuff forever. It's awesome. You can see the code right here. The beauty of this is that there are some packages in here. PexPect is really cool. Threading is very cool. All of this is cool, but what this one right here allowed me to do was I can send commands to my terminal windows. And remember that screen? Okay, so right here, I can send commands to a specific terminal screen. All right, that's attached or detached, I believe. And so I tell it screen, I believe this is just, here's the name, it's coming. So screen name Lux, which is what I'm running, not very specific. When I go to multiple servers on one thing, I will want to do better at this. But right up here, actually, I'm telling it, here's stuff I'd like to put there. So all it does is it says, well done, and then it took a little bit of doing to get the name for game over message, and this code's so thick now I need to actually start abstracting and like checking for commands. That'll become its own class in a different module that I can import and send information to. So that would be the next step. But anyway, I extract the name from a line, and it is somewhere right here somewhere. Anyway, we'll come back here. So anyway, it simply sends a command to that screen, and that's really the meat of this. What happens is when I send the command to run this, what happens is I'm telling it to be a headless, no graphical user interface, but the real meat of this is right here. Some commands in Unix is that line up there is a pipe, meaning I want to send whatever the stuff over here, whatever all of this is regurgitating, I'd like you to send it to a file and append it. T is send to a file, and append it to this. So what I'm actually doing is I'm constantly listening to new lines being added to this file on my Raspberry Pi. And initially what I do is I find the end of that file in initialize. All right, and then what I do is I just have a loop forever. And when I initially wrote this, I was disheartened beyond belief. My CPU was running at 99.9%, and my brand new laptop was gonna melt. And I'm like, what's going on? And I woke up the next morning. I did shut off my laptop, but I realized in the morning that I had this sleep, this 100 milliseconds or 1/10 of a second sleep somewhere over here for when I actually did find something. I'd give it a 1/10 of a second to just make sure the commands went through. And what I realized is that this true loop here is actually just opening that file, like whatever clock ticks my computer can do. We can go look into that probably pretty quick. So all I had to do was put a 1/10 of a second stop at the end of each iteration of this. So it's continuously checking every 1/10 of a second. I can make that 100th of a second, whatever I want. This got my process down to about 3% of my high-performing mid-level MacBook Pro 16, and it works just fine on my Raspberry Pi. So I could talk forever. If you're interested, let me know. This is cool stuff. It's really fun. Take it easy.